Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. U.S. Embassy launches anti-gang training program for local stakeholders. St. Anne Police heightens operational activities to mitigate against security threats. And later in sports, controversy mars opening session on day 4 of the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships at the National Stadium. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Sandy Williams. Here are the details. On the heels of the recent conviction of several members of the One Don gang, local anti-gang efforts are being bolstered. A partnership with U.S. authorities seek to clamp down on transnational criminal organizations. The U.S. Embassy has officially launched an anti-gang training program.
Still basking in the recent successful prosecutions under anti-gang legislation, local prosecutors believe Jamaica's law enforcement is an example to the region.
Two of the biggest gang leaders in the Caribbean through the administration of justice they were brought to book.
But despite the success, stakeholders agree that a lot more needs to be done to address the issue of transnational criminal networks. It's why on Thursday, the U.S. Embassy launched an anti-gang training program for local law enforcement and prosecutors. While also lauding local successes, U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Noah Nicholas Perry, indicated that the U.S. has always been standing by to assist.
Today, we are pleased to show up, and not just show up, but to stand with you to build on those really necessary and needed training efforts. So we are showing up with resources.
Those resources include 2 phases of tactical training, conceptualized in response to Jamaica's request for assistance.
The first phase of the program, the Advanced Counter-Gang Live Exercise, has been created to respond in response to your request for practical training to continue to build knowledge and confidence in combating organized crime. It is designed to provide a realistic experience of building a case.
The second phase will focus on case file review, which will culminate in a realistic mock trial. Government ministries are also promising more support, including more prosecutors through the Justice Ministry, as well as more funding.
And indeed, the court has reached out to the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. It always comes back some way, shape, or form to put us on alert that more resources are going to be required. But let me tell you something. Those are resources that we'll be very happy to provide, because Jamaica is at a point where we need to make sure that we don't have impunity as far as gang activity is concerned.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is reassuring Jamaicans that a number of jobs are available in the tourism sector for them. Mr. Bartlett says with new hotels opening up soon and others expanding, locals will be getting first priority. Karen Simpson reports.
Over the years, some Jamaicans have complained that they are not given priority in getting jobs at hotels and other attractions in the tourism industry. But Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says as part of the push for economic growth, the ministry is looking to boost the tourism sector by ensuring more locals are employed.
The Princess Resort and hotels that are building a 2,000-room facility in Green Island, pretty advanced and will be ready for opening, they tell me, on the 1st of January 2024.
Mr. Bartlett says the hotel also started recruiting some 1,600 Jamaican workers for the opening in January of 2024. He says the tourism ministry is working with these hotels through the Jamaica Center of Tourism for Innovation, Heart Trust, and other groups.
And then we went over to Palladium. And Palladium now has 1,054 rooms, and they employ 1,800 people, Jamaicans. And then they showed me their plan to build 650 rooms now for workers to live in. 650 houses at point for the workers who they have.
In addition, Mr. Bartlett says the hotel plans for expansion soon will also bring another 1,500 workers.
So all of these investment activities are showing you the mix of private sector, external, and private sector, internal. So the industry is benefiting the economy in this strong way because it is bringing foreign direct investment through your international investors, and it is bringing local value added through the utilization of local capital here by Jamaican people.
Carrie Simpson for TVJ News.
The St. Anne police say operational activities have been heightened within the parish to mitigate against security threats. It follows the recent theft of millions of dollars in Portmore St. Catherine by robbers with high-powered weapons. But head of the St. Anne Division, SSP Dwight Powell, is this afternoon warning criminals that it will be a showdown if they decide to come into the parish. More in this report.
I'm not going to talk with water in my mouth with that. I will give my people the full backing as long as we are operating in the ambit of the law in terms of defending ourselves and protecting our citizens.
A warning to criminals from head of the St. Anne Police, Senior Superintendent Dwight Powell. His comments follow the brazen attacks on security guards transporting cash to refill ABMs and the theft of the ABM machines in other parts of the country. Speaking at a stakeholders conference recently, SSP Powell said they have stepped up their efforts to mitigate against any such attacks in that parish. It is why he says residents have nothing to fear. He has also assured security guards that the support from his team will always be there to carry out their duties.
What affects you affects us in the state security. What affects your guards affects the safety of the entire division. And so we are putting it out there that we are here as your big brothers.
As for those who criticized the response of the police and the security guards in the two robberies in Portmore St. Catherine recently,
just want to put out there to our security partners that we understand the nature of the work that we do. We understand the risk factors that is involved in our operation. We understand that proper assessment must be done at all times. But until the shoe is really on your feet, you will not know what it feels like.
In the meantime, head of operations in the parish, DSP Kevin Francis, is hoping that there will be a tighter bond between the JCF and the security companies which operate within the parish.
Maybe once per month that the security companies can meet with the JCF to analyze where we are, where we need to be, so that we can move forward in a united front. So that's one of the takeaways that I would recommend for us to continue this kind of partnership, not just to prevent, but to reassure and to be proactive.
As a division, we are making our contingency planning to assist when we are called upon from you to assist.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
It's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News and thanks for staying with us. In the midst of the ongoing drought conditions across the island, a significant investment which is expected to boost the National Water Commission's water delivery in several parishes. $1.3 billion worth of large ductile iron pipes were procured and shipped to the NWC through the Kingston Wharves this week. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, explained that the pipes will be used on 9 project locations in a number of parishes.
Well, in Brownstown connection, the Whitehall water supply in St. Thomas, the Stanton Terrace to Maresca Road in KC, the ferry to Rock Pond in St. Andrew, which we know that area, certainly in Forest Hills, has its own challenges.
There is also the Miami Bay to St. Anne's Bay project in St. Anne, the Malines and Washington Boulevard to Constant Spring Road in St. Andrew, and the Aracabessa Hamilton Mountain project in St. Mary. The NWC has been reporting reducing water levels at a number of catchment facilities over several months. Rainfall for February was 28% of the monthly average.
Had we not been doing the work that we've been doing over these past 3 to 4 years in investing, certainly in the non-revenue water in Kingston and St. Andrew and in Portmore and in other parts of the country, you would have had water lock-offs for Christmas. The reason the significant impacts of the drought started to be felt in February by way of lock-offs and scheduled service delivery is because of the investment that the NWC has been making.
In addition to the new delivery of pipes, the government has committed to $7 billion in water-related investments for the current year. The Ministry of Health is raising concerns about 2 recent cases of monkeypox virus. This brings the island's total confirmed cases to 21. The latest cases are from Kingston and St. Andrew and are recorded as locally transmitted cases, with one noted as a contact of a previously confirmed case. The KSA Health Department has commenced contact tracing associated with the cases. Speaking to TVJ News recently, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says he is concerned.
We have discovered in recent times, I think 2 cases of monkeypox. Both cases related. That is a concern to us. The team at the ministry, through the office of the CMO, is monitoring. There is a protocol around monkeypox where persons are isolated and treated, and contact tracing is done to ensure that those that they have been in contact with are not affected, and that is taking place now. But as of now, we have discovered at least 2 recent cases, and the work of the team continues.
The Health Ministry is reminding persons that the spread of monkeypox may occur when a person comes into close contact with an infected individual. Symptoms are usually mild to moderate and include fever, intense headache, swelling of the lymph node, back pain, muscle ache, and/or rash on the skin. Members of the public who experience these symptoms must immediately isolate and call ahead to their health center or doctor before visiting. And it's now time for the Business Minute. Supreme Ventures has acquired a 100% stake in the Kingston-based Michaela Financial Services Limited. The acquisition was done through SVL's subsidiary Supreme Ventures Fintech Limited. In 2021, SVL acquired a 51% stake in Michaela Financial Services, making it majority shareholder. The value of the transaction has not been disclosed. Further afield, Goldman Sachs says up to 300 million full-time jobs around the world could be affected by artificial intelligence. The new wave of AI that has spawned platforms like ChatGPT could lead to jobs being automated in some way. In a recent report, Goldman Sachs economists predicted 18% of work globally could be computerized. Economists at the investment bank believe the effects would be felt more deeply in advanced economies than emerging markets, with white-collar workers more at risk than manual laborers. According to the report, the most affected jobs would be administrative workers and lawyers. Less affected jobs are expected to be in physically demanding or outdoor occupations such as construction and repair works. And that's it for the Business Minute.
The Business.
For the top regional and international stories, here's Kirk Wright.
The Trinidad and Tobago government won a multi-million-dollar verdict in a sprawling corruption lawsuit that began nearly 20 years ago and involves former high-ranking officials. A Miami jury awarded the government more than US $100 million in compensatory damages in a verdict last Wednesday. The civil case began in 2004 when the Trinidadian government sued a former finance minister, various businessmen, and several companies in countries including the US, Panama, and Portugal. The lawsuit alleged that the defendants participated in a scheme beginning in August 1996 to illegally obtain consulting and construction contracts. On the international scene, Turkey has finally approved Finland's application to join NATO, putting an end to months of delays while also continuing to block Sweden from joining the military alliance. The Turkish parliament voted unanimously in favor of Finland's membership on Thursday, clearing the last hurdle in the process. The vote fulfills Turkish president's promise to allow Finland in the defense alliance. Turkey was the last NATO member to approve Finland's request.
We head to another break, but when we come back, we'll have your midday sports report. Giovanni Dennis is standing by.